Brothers, sisters, Mrs., Misters, the Dented Cast is on your computer. Welcome. My name is Dobie Maxwell, flanked by my cohort, Max Baumgardner. We are going to get in your head today. We don't have any letter of the alphabet we're going to talk about today's episode because we don't care. We're going to talk today, Max, about caring what other people think.
I think everyone does it too often. Put too much credence or too much value in what other people think. Otherwise, there wouldn't be just an entire like cosmetic industry and hair replacement industry and hair removal industry and
tattoos.
Yeah. We care too much about
style, fashion.
What people think. Right. Exactly.
Because you want the cool kids, no matter what age, to like you, to let you sit at their table. When I was a kid, having a lunchbox, that made you cool. Oh my God, if I didn't have a good lunchbox, who cares? They're not buying my lunch. They're not eating my lunch. But I didn't have a Batman lunchbox, so I was a pariah.
Yeah, as a kid. And, nowadays, your business, the being a comedian, it does matter what the audience thinks anyway. But on a personal level, does it matter to you what they think on a personal level, or how does that work for you in your mind?
I think this has evolved as I've gotten older. You used to want to have your peers dig you, but then I thought, wait a minute, another comedian has never paid me 1 cent to do comedy. In fact, they want me to choke on my lunch on stage, turn purple and die so the paramedics can drag me off stage with a smoking haze so they can get on and finish my time and get my money.
You just found that out with a comedy club that you were involved in Kenosha recently, apparently.
Yeah, there was a guy, and there was a woman that I know that's got a business, has nothing to do with comedy. And there was a little Chamber of Commerce meeting, and they hired a comedian, and it was this guy. And she goes up to him and says, "Oh, do you know Dobie Maxwell?" And the first thing out of his mouth was, "That guy rubs people the wrong way."
Well, at least he knows you.
You know what? True. Guilty as charged. And you know what? It's raining out. Here's some windshield wipers for you. Because I really don't care. I have never cared. I've helped this goof bag, alcoholic dirt bag, unloved product of a broken home. And you know what? To be totally honest with you, he's a very competent comedian. But I wouldn't have him anywhere near my home because I think he's a maggot and a shriveled soul and a piece of filth that I want to talk to. And there are 8 billion people on this planet. Now, I want to make something perfectly clear because I think, Max, you know me a long time, and people listening say, well, you don't seem to care about it. Well, of course you want people to like you. But if some goofbag does not like you, to me, I give you 1 strike. Baseball gives you 3. I give you 1. But the clarity part I want to make is it's not mistakes. People make mistakes. I'm not just saying if you make a mistake. I don't by far claim to be perfect. I'm just saying if you caught me some tood and you're gonna underhanded do some maggoty thing like that off the bat without me doing it. I didn't do it first. In fact, I was nice to this guy numerous times. All right, no second chances. Goodbye. You're done. I don't need to talk to you. Why? If you're that rotten on the inside, you toxify my life. I'm trying to crawl out of the swamp and you're grabbing my ankle trying to bring me back in, and I don't want to be there.
Do you think that's a product of that business, though? The entertainment industry?
Yeah, because it's a magnet for dented cans. I think the insecurity of, if somebody else gets the limelight or a little bit of good positive energy, it takes away from me, which is totally not true. But I think a lot of people feel that way. And I think, we've talked a little bit about, I've gotten away from the comedy business in the last year or two, and I don't have an interest. Some of it, there's many reasons for it, but the more I get away from it, the less I miss it. And the world's got toxic people everywhere, but there just seems to be like the bottom of the bathtub where all the goo right at the drain. That's what show business is. And they think the glory and the fame and the notoriety of an entertainer that will get rid of all that stuff, when in fact it just enhances it and it makes them more miserable.
Well, let's skip out of the comedian, Dobie Maxwell, and let's just go to the person. And same for me. With everyday people, let's just focus on family, for instance. Do you care what family thinks at this point of your life? I mean, do you do anything to impress your family?
That's a really good question. And I want you to think about it too, because you're going to be answering it. And I want them to know that I care for them. I respect them. I don't have any vengeance that I want. At one time, I'll show you I'm somebody.
Right.
And they all made fun of me when I was going to be a comedian. And I never gave up. And all the years later, when we didn't speak, I heard from the grapevine, you know what? They still hate you, but they thought, well, damn it, he chased his dream. I'll give him that.
Right. Exactly.
And it didn't give me the satisfaction I thought it would. Okay, yeah, I proved it. I was a comedian. So what? That doesn't make a. We repaired our relationship and patched things up on our own. Had nothing to do with comedy. So I want to impress them to know that I care for them very much and I love them. How about you?
I do care about what my wife thinks and about what my kids think. And to a certain degree, you know, my family with my mom and my brother, to a certain degree, just a certain degree, though, my definition now has to do with direct interests. So how much is the other person investing in me? How much time, how much of their life are they investing? And, you know, that's, I think, what I use for the metric or the measuring stick. Because if I don't have an investment with somebody, I don't care what they think. I really don't anymore. I used to just say that real flippantly, and I did care what they think. Like you just said, I used to bang my chest. I don't care what they think, blah, blah, blah. And then I would wait for their reaction because I did care what they thought. You know, I don't feel that way anymore. And it's really weird because I feel like I'm not angry about it. It's detachment, like we've talked about before. And maybe I've got personality disorder. I don't know what. Maybe I could be defined as many things, or maybe I'm just getting to a stage where all I put in my head, all of the wisdom that I've read, you know, and borrowed and try to practice, I'm just now realizing that it does not make any difference what anyone thinks unless you love them and have a relationship with them. And it's mutually, you're both putting something into the relationship, not just one-sided. My kids and my wife, or I don't really feel like I have to judge what they're putting into it, because to me, it should be unconditional. And that's no matter what they do. I've told you, I've got one that doesn't want anything to do with me at times. And I understand that, but I'm not going to give up on that relationship ever in my life until I take my last breath. Everybody else, though, I mean, if I don't know how you feel about this, but if when you get together with someone and you have to try and be somebody else, and it turns out to be work, and in your case, you'd have to be like entertaining or funny, let's just say, then I don't feel like that's good. I'd like to come away from any interaction with another human being feeling better than I felt before I got there.
Let me ask you this. That's a very good point, as usual, but you have gone through a change in your life as well. You, like me, were an entertainer for much of your life on the radio, and not necessarily a comedy entertainer, but you're an entertainer on the air. Then you morphed into becoming a businessman.
Right.
And do you find now that sometimes you have to like those people that are potential customers, or at least pretend like you like them, and that's part of business? And
I think that's true. Yes. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying you can't give them the windshield wipers at lunch because then, you know, your bank account is empty.
You're right. However, I hate to say this. There's a line. There's definitely a line with me. In my own business, I won't do business with somebody that's going to take all of my time. And every time I interact with them, there's a problem. I won't do it. I'll just say, hey, you know what? We're not a good fit for each other. And I wish you the best of luck. No profanity, no psychosis, no.
Now, what fun is that, Max? I'm very disappointed in you. I want a scene. I want people to drop their forks in the restaurant and turn and look because you guys are rumbling in the jungle.
Well, you knew that part of me. You did know that part of me. I just don't want to do it anymore, man. Because I'm the one that has to pay for that in the end. It's just so easy to clip it because we don't know. Here we are in our 50s, barely. But we don't.
Oh, I'm hanging on, buddy. I'm sliding down that rope.
But we don't know, just based on the most recent report, the CDC, I think the life expectancy for a man in America dropped back down because of the numbers of COVID, obviously.
Mhm.
But 73. So let's just say that's right. Who has time at this point in our life to worry about meeting somebody else's expectations? I just don't have time. And I don't want to even talk to them about it. I don't even want to talk to them at all. Like at all talk to them. You know, I want to wish them well, and I want to focus on what I want to focus on, which is healthy stuff. And that's it. I just don't want to have any interaction.
Now, don't you think like exercise or like a habit, it is totally, it has to be developed. It is with me. You talk about the business example. My sister and I have been doing flea markets, rummage sale kind of things for the last few years. It's a Saturday and Sunday thing. Sometimes we do both. Sometimes we do one, but it's a chance to bond that we never had as kids. And she sells her, Avon type stuff, and I sell my trinkets and doodads, and we just bond to get together, and we make a couple of bucks and have a laugh. And when people come up and they look at my stuff and it's like, hey, that's got a little ding in it. Yeah. Well, you're asking $5. Yeah. If you don't like it, don't buy it. And I would just more than once had a complete scene and just emasculate some poor bastard and follow him down the road. Look, you cheap SOB, blah, blah, blah. And Max, I'm going to be ashamed of myself. I enjoyed it. I did, because I would have given them a deal if they would have been nice about it, but they came all smug. And is that going back into my childhood? My sister's like, you're become our father when you do that. I say, yeah, and I really dug it. I don't know why, because I had the control. I read somewhere where mass murder, serial killers, the best part that they enjoy about it was when the people scream and beg for their life, because for the only time, and you don't think mass murders are dented cans, they're in charge, they're in control. You're going to scream? Oh. Yeah, you're going to scream really loud.
Wow.
And I'm sick, man. And that was the point. And hey, I'm Bruce Lee, man. I can rip you up with my tongue, and I'm not proud of that. But it's 30 years in comedy clubs dealing with drunks. You better get good at defending yourself, or you're not going to last very long. And it's an attitude. And is it wrong of me to judge some poor sap? If they came up to me and said, you know what, my kid really likes this baseball, I'd give it to him. I don't care if it had $100,000 price tag on it. So that's the kind of guy I am. And I think you are too. You know what it's like for people. But when they come the wrong way, I don't care what you think. I don't care. I don't care if it's the mayor, the governor. You're going to be a jerk to me. You're going to fire a spitball. I'm going to fire 6 nuclear weapons right back at you. It's like dealing with a heckler. Mm-hmm. And I'm confessing you. Forgive me, Max, for I have sinned.
I'm not the creator.
I know you're not.
I'm just the producer of the show.
I get you, man. I'm kidding, but I'm not kidding, because I think a lot of dented cans have that storage unit of anger that we can try to get rid of it. We try to open the bilge hole and let it leak out. But some of us, and I'll be the first one to admit, there's still a little splash there in the bottom. And on the wrong day, when the wrong person says it, it comes back up. It's less frequent than it is before. It may be less intense than it is before. But that's a real thing, because we're human, and we were squeezed in places we weren't supposed to be squeezed as kids. And it has misshapen our entire psyche. I'm not a doctor. None of us are doctors. We're talking about this intelligently. And you know what? I don't give shit if anybody's even watching or listening right now. I'm talking to you, Max, because you're my buddy and you get it.
Yeah, I do. This brings me back to social media in 2018, because I think social media is all about the need for people. It's a need for attention, for one, but it's also a need for people's approval, because you seek to do things. And I'm not talking about a comedian like you, but just a regular person, or just some poor young girl in the Midwest in school that wants to be liked, and pays attention to those likes and those shares and how popular she is. I mean, there's numerous studies on how Instagram has instigated teenage suicides.
Oh yeah.
And so
that's
that's all based on the need for others' approval.
Well, I think there is something inside us, that creator, nature, universe, whatever you want to call it, that put in us that need. There's an us versus them need. Why do, a sports team, us versus them, men versus women, this versus that. That's in us. Also, the need to be liked. Is it supposed to come from home? Yeah.
When you do things or have to change the way you do things to appease somebody else, I think you're selling yourself out. I don't think you stand for anything at that point. I think you're trying so hard to get approval from others that there's no self left. And then when they don't give you the approval you're seeking, then you just feel horrible and empty. And I just don't think there's a way to, I think there's no means to an end with that. It's always going to be a treadmill.
Isn't there a loneliness when you don't go with the crowd? You know, I mean, whatever that is. There's a feeling of isolation. I mean, for me, it was drugs in school.
Yeah.
All the kids were smoking pot, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and I didn't want to do it. I had no interest in doing it. I didn't think Cheech and Chong were funny. I look at these people look like maggots with their hair grown out and zits and eating Doritos and laughing and giggling at stupid shit. And I didn't want to be like them. That's just an example. And it's like, okay, it felt kind of goofy at the time, but now who made the best choice? No one's going to lay on their deathbed saying, I wish I would have smoked more dope.
Right.
God, I wish I would have drank and partied more.
Right.
I don't judge people that do that, but just it wasn't for me. And I stood up for myself. Didn't care what they thought when I was 12. Don't care now.
I think also people's minds are always changing. And so to try to keep up with that and gain someone else's approval and really put credence in what they're saying, I don't think it's ever worth it. I don't think it's ever worth it. Who cares? It just doesn't matter at this point in my life.
What about somebody you care about that blows you off? That's a whole different thing. Someone I don't care about, yeah, up your ass, windshield wipers. Someone you care about. I don't know who that could be. A spouse, a lover, a family member, whoever you call it. You know, that's a whole different animal. Now we're talking about very delicate, sensitive ground. How do you react? What do you think?
Well, like I said earlier, if I have with my wife and kids, I've got a fence built around those three where it doesn't matter. It's always going to be a constant giving from me to them, even if I'm not receiving. And that's just to me, that's just what my responsibility in the world is right now and forevermore. With anyone else, blood or not, if there's no investment going both ways, then there really isn't any need to consider their feelings on anything. You can treat them with respect. You can answer the phone. You can be nice to them. But to get emotionally involved, I don't think it's worth it, man. I really don't. I believe that interest is directly related to effort. And if people don't act interested or they're not making any effort, that's your answer. There's your answer. So why are you making effort? Why are you interested? You have to ask yourself that point and I think the healthier, and I do mean the word healthier, the healthier you get emotionally, the more you don't need that at all. You just don't need it. And there's no negative reaction and there's no like explosion. You just go, you know what? It's not worth it anymore, man. It's just not worth it. If they come around, fantastic. If they don't, who cares? Why does it matter? I'm serious. Why does it matter?
It doesn't matter. Don't you think that as we change, like you say, get mentally healthier, as I think both of us have in the last year, maybe you more than me, but I think we're both making excellent progress.
Okay.
For being two nut jobs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you put out a different frequency and a vibe when that happens. And that in turn attracts different people.
Right.
I was just thinking the other day that the people I talk to now, the top probably 15 or 20 on a weekly basis, are completely different than the 20 I talked to, excluding family, a year ago.
I don't know who said it. I don't know if it was Stephen Covey or who said it years ago, but you're the average of the 5 people you hang out most.
Oh, you know what? He's not the only one that said that. He's
Yeah.
one that said it's totally true.
Yeah.
And that has come up from so many sources and it couldn't be any more dead on.
And so from that standpoint, if you come into a relationship like that, where you leave every meeting, every encounter, and you feel energized, or you're exhausted in a good way, that just like, oh my gosh, that was just so wonderful. I'm gonna go home and sleep for 8 hours because I just feel great. You know, I think those people, because there's an investment there. I think that is important. And maybe to a degree, I would care what those people think. But there's an investment and there's time spent, and it goes both ways. The people that it's give only mode and will say something or criticize or make fun and, hey, don't get upset, I'm just joking. those people, it's like, I just, clip. I don't feel like there's any need to worry about what they think at all.
I'm busting your chops, man. Lighten up. No,
Right.
you're not busting my chops.
Right.
You meant that.
Right.
You were laughing when you said it, but you meant it.
Right. That's
Yeah.
gaslighting, and we've talked about that before too. So
Yep.
yeah. So anyway,
I just want one little tip that I'm going to throw in because it fits now. What I like to do is positive gossip. I developed this years ago, and I could get around. Hey, you know Max Baumgartner? Yeah. And lean in, just between you and me. He started a business in Florida. He's doing really good, man. I am so happy for him and his wife. Man, he worked hard so long, and radio got screwed up. It's about time that guy got a break.
Yeah.
And they're just like, they're stunned, like they're just, oh yeah. Like, they're stunned when you say that. But to make a habit of consciously doing that, it is really, it's therapeutic. It's wonderful. Seriously. You can say something good about somebody if you really think about it. And
that's
if you
great.
get in the habit of that, I love doing that. And I just like that, so-and-so, oh man, his wife, she won a marathon, or whatever it is. And it takes them off guard. And to me, you can judge their character by how they react to it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
They want to hear dirt.
Exactly. They want to hear dirt. Just like we can hear 1,000 compliments on a good radio show or a good comedy set, blew the roof off. But there's that one heckler, and we give all of our attention to the one heckler. Or we give all of our attention to the one listener who wrote a nasty email. That's called being human. I'm here to say it's working for me right now. And like you said, there could be a day where it would not work as well. But whatever you feed grows, whatever you starve dies. Whatever you feed grows, whatever you starve dies. That's all over the internet, attributed to many different people. It's actually in the Bible. Credit. It's actually, it's in the Bible.
I'll take credit for that too. I wrote the New Testament. You wrote the Old Testament. Well, if you're liking what you're seeing with the Dented Cast, we really do appreciate it. But you know what? We don't care if you don't like us, if you tune us out, if you hate us. We're almost done anyway. We're going to do 100 episodes, and we're going to do it, and this is going to float out into cyberspace. And when one of us becomes a mass murderer and the other one becomes a multimillionaire, Max will probably get the multimillionaire. But then, seriously, then we'll get more hits than anything. Can you imagine that? If one of us went on a crime spree, this would be all over CNN and everything. They had the Dented Cast. We get more publicity than any time we could buy in commercials.
Let's not do that. Let's instead realize that no one cares what we think either. Otherwise, we'd have views. So no one cares about that. There's a few friends and relatives of yours, and God bless them, and thank you for their likes and their comments and things like that. And they're really wonderful people. I've answered the comments and things like that. They're great people. But the world as a whole, they don't care. They've already told us. So we can give everybody windshield wipers.
Windshield wipers. We are the Dented Cast. Love you, buddy. This is so much fun.
Love you too, man. Talk to you soon.